tell him he's alive. Oh, I tell him that he lives. I tell him that he lives. I tell him that he lives. I tell him that, I tell him that, I tell him that he lives.
Started with hanging posters on my bedroom walls, to battle rapping for status up in the schoolhouse. Just call me Double Sushi, thought I was too raw. And hip-hop was my home, I had my shoes off. 6'3" in high school, but skip a hoop dream. If I don't blow up, then maybe I'll try the school thing. I went to college to do my family a favor, but I couldn't pick a major cause I wanted to be major. I tried selling work, but it didn't work. So I worked, shopping center clerk, finna go berserk. Lunch break, see me writing 16s over Mickey D's. Skipping class, making beats over 60 keys. And I love it even though I'm just chasing. Selfish ambition, couldn't tell your boy Nathan. Watch out all you rappers cause they finna let Cray in. But I was sleeping on the sun like the days in. And you can have the money, and you can have the fame. For me, I want the glory. I'm living for the name. See, life is just a picture. I see outside the frame. I'm living for a kingdom that I ain't never seen. Yeah, and I'ma chase that. I'ma chase that. Found the key to life and best believe it. I'ma play that. Glory, I'ma chase that. I'ma chase that. Glory, I'ma chase that. I'ma chase that. I remember chasing the green, feeling blue. Only check I'm counting is the mic check. 1, 2. All I wanted was the money and the fame and the new. Somebody on my arm when I walk inside the room. All I wanted was doom. The same kind of Alexander the Great felt when the earth ran out of room. He conquered all he could, but yet he's feeling consumed by this never-ending quest for glory he couldn't fuel. Like a typical fool, I would go hard, shooting for the moon, but there's only one sun, no co-star. Chasing glory I shouldn't own. Instead of living to make his name known, I'm running after his throne. I thought being on TV where everybody could see me was nothing short of the easiest way I could see to please me. I'll never be who I used to desperately want to be. I'm too worried about the Lord getting credit instead of me. You can have the money, and you can have the fame. For me, I want the glory. I'm living for the name. See, life is just a picture. I see outside the frame. I'm living for a kingdom that I ain't never seen. Yeah, and I'ma chase that. Glory, I'ma chase that. Gotta key to life and best believe it. I'ma play that. Glory, I'ma chase that. I'ma chase that. Glory, I'ma chase that. I'ma chase that. I used to wanna do it big. When you're only focused on yourself, that's small. And they used to tell me as a kid that I could do anything that I want except fall. And now that I recall, I was chasing my goals. And every time I caught them, they multiplied in the mo. I never even thought about whether the Lord approved. Called it selfish ambition, I call it I'm making moves. But history repeats itself, evil's what it is. Cause Lucifer was cast away for doing what I did. Created by the God who spoke the earth into existence. Instead of chasing the Father's glory, he was chasing his. He lies to us all, told Adam he could bow. Why you following God when you can go get it all? I tell you what's better, or better yet worse. Chasing your own glory by doing the Lord's work. So holler if it hurts, but we were made for greater. Our greatest satisfaction is making his name famous. So if we're never named among the greatest, they don't critically acclaim us. Ain't nothing to be ashamed of, we gave it up for the Savior. I'ma chase that, I'ma chase that.
Check.
You should taste that. And you ain't living till you're living for his name. Yeah, glory, I'ma chase that, I'ma chase that.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Come on, I said good evening, everybody. All right, welcome back to the Movement Monday night right here where we come together, 1541 18th Street, Expression Church of Huntington, where we a group of people that come together. We started, a couple years ago. Me and about 10 guys went down to the river with a Bible. And we all wanted more from life, and we knew that God was the answer. Amen? Amen. And so tonight we got some special guests with us. Give it up for White Collar Sideshow. Dale has been in the music industry for 30 years, and it's the only time he's ever had to say, hey, man, can you sound check your saw for me? He's got a 6-foot log saw, and as you can tell, he has crazy instruments. They are crazy, crazy, crazy. They love the Lord, though. They get to minister to groups of people like us and many others. They were just at another recovery center down in Lexington. They had about 400 came out for the show. It was a fundraiser, but they have a really good time. I'd like to speak a little bit about, like last week when I preached, it was about the flesh and the spirit, right? And so tonight, the whole time while they're playing, you're going to be watching a movie, and it's about the 7 deadly sins. And the entire time, this pig man's absolutely torturing the person. And the whole time you think it's almost like a horror show, but the truth is, it's really you, your flesh, killing you. And that's what I want you to focus on tonight. So I want to read a scripture as we open up. And I want you guys to think about this as you're listening to them tonight and you enjoy yourself with them. This is Galatians 5:16. It says, I say then, walk in the Spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusts against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary to one another. So that you do not do the things that you wish, but if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are these, they're evident, which are adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lewdness, idolatry, sorcery, hatred, contentions, jealousies, outbursts of wrath, selfish ambitions, dissensions, heresies, envy, murder, drunkenness. Anybody ever been drunk? Revelries and the like, of which I tell you beforehand, just as I also told you in the past, that those who practice such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. Now, how many of you guys know that tonight, if you know the Lord, you're part of the kingdom? You are ambassadors of the kingdom of God in the here and now, and you should be the expression of Christ in everyday life. So as we enjoy ourselves tonight, and they just absolutely crazy, I mean, it's one of the greatest shows ever, I want you to really think about how your flesh is always trying to kill you. Every time you've relapsed, every time you fall down, that's your flesh. That's what, hence the shirt. Shut the flesh up, right? And of course, they printed the shirt, since it's the pig man, it said kill the pig. So that's the deal. It's not about you getting your flesh to shut up, but it's about you killing your flesh. And you got to figure out how to die to the old you and be the new you. Amen? Amen. All right, with no further ado, I give you White Collar Sideshow. TD, Benton, Veronica. Thank you guys.
We're going to sweat for you guys, so please feel free to stand up and jam with us. You can't sit here like this all night, right? We feed off energy, and we need some energy. Are we cool with this? I mean, this will be the craziest thing you've seen in a church. So, we love being crazy in churches. We don't get to play them very often. We love freaking Christians out, so if you're in that with us, you're in the right place. We're the White Collar Sideshow. We're from Fort Smith, Arkansas. Arkansas is famous for Judge Parker and the Gallows, the film True Grit, Lonesome Dove. Arkansas is the boyhood home of Johnny Cash. And our second home, Walmart. If you came to our performance, you must be a part of our redneck family. So we hope you enjoy our version of Shock and Roll. You can scream, you can clap, you can be scared, you can run away. We'll come find you. Out those eyes. Gouge out those eyes. Attracts all the eyes. Gouge out those eyes. Hello? But Mr. High inside, I can't shake this quite really. It's like I'm dead inside.
Mr. Hyde inside, I can't shake this. I don't really feel alive. It's like I'm dead inside. Bloody retrospect, the butterfly effect. I can't live this life. Mr. Hyde inside. Gouge out those eyes. Attracts all the flies.
Which thoughts for the become words? Which words for the become actions? Which actions for the become habits? Which habits for the become character? Which character for the becomes your destiny?
How we holding up? Is it weird yet? Hands. If you got hands, hands. Hands are good. It's time to jam.
So crazy.
When you try to make me
Understand those things. You've already
This is one of the most quiet audiences we've ever had. Thank you.
The eyes are the windows to the soul.
It's a monster, Bill, and a monster pose. You're a monster creep, stitched eyes and nose. Monster lies, and a monster feeds. Will the monster rise? It's monster me. Anger, frustration is all that I can see. Hatred, confusion, it's monster me. It's a monster bill and a monster pose. I'm the monster creep. Eyes and nose. A monster cries and a monster bleeds. Will the monster rise? It's monster me. Anger, frustration is all that I can see. It's the way you feel, death doesn't seem real. Take a little pill if it keeps you numb and still. Take a little pill if it keeps you numb and still. Come and get your fill. Padded walls are such a thrill. Like this. Like this. Almost as good as Oklahoma. Come and get your fill. Padded walls are such a thrill. City on a hill. Iron bars above the sill. Yeah. Like the dead. You can jack bumping. Got to dig down to money dust. Fill the hole down below. Got to still the air. Trapped in. Let me forget. Like the dead. You can jack bumping. Got to dig down to money dust. Fill the hole down below. Got to still the air.
It is said there is no sin in killing a beast, only in killing a man. But where does one begin and the other ends?
This one's for the movers and the shakers. Selfish little. Whoa! You find out that you're drowning in your own self-righteous. Whoa! You might deceive and greater than that selfish little. Whoa! Cloudy concentration, technological equation, you're up. It feels like they're built in pride. It feels like they're built in pride. Or cowbell. Selfish little. Whoa! Acting out, pounding. You find out that you're drowning in your own self-righteous. Whoa! No mistake you make is even greater than that other little selfish little. Whoa! Concentration, technological equation, you're a selfish little. Whoa! Every time you point your finger through good? Good. You know, we got one more song. I know there's curfew. I get it, man. For us, not y'all. Some of us are in recovery. Man. My name is T. This is our life. White Collar Sideshow. That big truck, the big truck that's out front, that is our house. We don't have a house. We've been on the road for 8 years? Oh, and a half, excuse me. And we've been a band for 10 years. My wife, Veronica, we've never had a record company or booking agent. She does everything. So we live like gypsies. Thank Rocky for having us again. We were here last year too. It does take a while to get warmed up with what we do because it's a weird show, right? You don't know what's going on. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, that's me. And then it's over. I know this. I never knew this would become my life. I was a drug addict. I've had 7 major lung operations. I was addicted to my painkillers through all of my lung operations. And, well, honestly, that's how I found Jesus in my life. I hated Christianity. I don't know how else to put it. I think I always believed in God, but I always blamed him for my problems. And I used to tell people I was agnostic or atheist, but secretly in my room, after all my lung surgeries and struggling with my painkillers, I was like, I hate you. So there's a little bit of faith in that statement too, blaming the Lord. I worked at a factory where everybody knew me as the drug dealer and the party guy. I went to work stoned most of the time. And I was a forklift driver, so what every boss wants is a drug-addicted forklift driver working for their company. Hey, and after my 7th lung operation, I was so addicted to my painkillers. I was doing 60 pills a week is nothing, you know, from a drug addict's perspective. From someone who's not ever been addicted to anything like that, they're like, 60 pills? I'm like, man, that was just, 3 days. That's right. I went to go fill my prescription because I had a never-ending prescription, and my doctor said to me, no, no more. Like, I'm not going to be the guy who's responsible for your death. So if you're going to get painkillers or if you're going to get prescriptions, you're going to have to go somewhere else. And I really struggle with that because I didn't know how to have a conversation with somebody without being messed up or tripping or stoned or whatever. And after he told me that, of course, depression, suicide, and there was a Christian dude that I worked with at the factory, and I went to him one morning, drove my forklift at like 5:30 in the morning, and before all my friends got there, and I said, hey man, God hates me, but he loves you. Maybe you could pray for me that God would give me $1 million so I wouldn't have to live my life like this anymore. Because I used to think money was the answer to everything. I thought I was a drug addict because I was poor. I realized if I had $1 million then, I would have spent it all on drugs. And my buddy said to me, have you ever tried Jesus? And I looked at him. I said, dude, are you an effing idiot? Like, you can't see God or Jesus. And you're not going to catch me pushing my beliefs on anybody. You're crazy, dude. And I got on my forklift, and, he's yelling at me as I'm driving off. I'm praying for you. And that night, I went back and stood on top of my apartment building and over the edge and had this kind of Lieutenant Dan and Forrest Gump moment of, it's me or you thing. And I'm looking down, and I never had the courage. I always thought about suicide. I mean, I was in the Arkansas State Mental Institution for suicide and depression, and I was looking over the edge like, man, what am I here for? What is my purpose on this planet? Like, I'm nothing. I'm a freaking druggie. I'm nothing to anybody. And I just didn't have the courage to jump. And I went back the next day to this guy, and his name was Philip. And I said, Philip, man, you know, I've been through psychologists, psychiatrists, nurses, doctors, surgeries, addiction, hate, anger, frustration. How many addictions have I been through? I've even been in the state mental institution. And like, if your God doesn't change me, then what will happen with me? And he said, dude, you look at God like all the other Christians do. Like, everything you've been through, your story, everything, all your questions, your hate, your anger, even your addictions, even your surgeries, even your mental health makes up who you are. And God just wants to use you for who you are. He wants to take your story and help other people realize that they're not alone on the planet. And I was like, I just didn't understand. And I just said, well, just pray for me. And I'm sitting on my forklift, and he prayed with me, and it changed my life. That was in the year 2000. I'm an old man. I never knew Christianity. I never knew Bible stuff. I never knew about the church world. And then after that, man, my life was flipped around, and it turned upside down. And I was always into rock and roll, man. I've been playing drums for like 30 years and played in a zillion different bands, mostly trying to live like my heroes, like Jim Morrison and Kurt Cobain and, well, all the dead guys. And I still love this music. Man, I'm the biggest Doors fan. I've read about 10 of their books. I know, man. It killed. When he died, it broke my heart. I mean, that's my generation, you know? Even when Weiland died, like, dude, that's a piece of my heart. Like, that's the songs of my life through high school. And to see all these guys still in their mess, even as gigantic rock stars, making a fortune, still struggling, feeling like they're the only ones on the planet that struggle. Who do you talk to? Who can you tell? And then after I became a believer, I met my wife. We got married 3 months later. And the greatest addiction that I have ever had, which everyone's probably going to laugh, it's fine, pornography addiction. Of course. Well, every guy knows. What are you talking about? Every girl knows too. I mean, it's all over the internet. You can't even get on a Facebook page without seeing an advertisement anymore. I mean, it's the biggest selling drug of all time, and it's free. And I never knew that it would consume me 24/7. My wife would go to bed, and I would be up from 11 o'clock at night till 7 o'clock in the morning looking at porn. In fact, when my wife would go to the grocery store, I would be like, oh man, I got like 30 minutes. Like, my mind, it was like being on drugs. And it ruined my life. And it was ruining my marriage. And one day my wife called me out and said, you know, I know what you're doing. And because you've been looking at porn this whole time, I've been throwing up my food to try to compete with the women that you look at, because I don't look anything like those girls, Photoshop girls. And I'm not a good enough wife for you. She didn't understand that it's an addiction. Man, it killed her. It broke her heart. It broke my heart. And we just became two people that were like, you know, we're married, and we can get through this together. And we were honest with each other and transparent with each other. And we became champions for each other. And through that process, I started writing these creepy dreams. Like, I'm a big horror movie fan. I grew up in the 80s with Freddie and Jason. In fact, we've played horror movie conventions where I've actually got to meet a lot of these actors. And it's been an interesting world of the people that you meet. You never know who you're going to meet and who you're going to run to and who you're going to challenge their thinking with. And I started writing these crazy, creepy dreams. Every night it felt like something was pulling me out of the bed, and I'm writing all this stuff, and I'm like, oh crap, all these little movies and stories and characters. And this pig guy, our whole show's about masks. Like, who are we in front of everyone else, and who do we become when nobody's looking in our little closets? Like, are we the same person in front of everybody, or are we Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? And that's what our whole show about. Like the pig is me. He's the guy I never want to be, but I always become him. He's the guy that I have to constantly work on. He's the guy that consumes my heart, my mind, my soul, and distracts me from focus and clarity and integrity and wisdom and maturity and character and everything that's missing in this world today. And my wife, her character is the faceless woman. It's how every man views women, without a face, from the neck down. It's all we see is body. And if that's a lie, you can say it right now. Because I know dudes. I talk to them every day about this subject. I get 40 messages a day in my inbox on Facebook and emails through White Collar Sideshow, through my personal thing. I'm struggling with porn. My wife left me. I'm divorcing. I'm struggling with porn. I'm struggling with porn. I've cheated. I've done this. I've gone too far. It never ends. And my wife gets all these messages from women whose dudes are looking at porn constantly. Oh, it's overwhelming, and it's heartbreaking. What is the mask that we wear? What is it that consumes us? I mean, recovery is one thing. Recovery is great because this is a place where we're honest and we're transparent and everybody knows our secrets. It's when we start having secrets again and we don't want people to think we've relapsed or we're gone back to the way we were. So we hide from each other. What is the mask? My mask right now is probably this band. Man, been on the road for 8 years. Just in the last 2 years, we've been in 18 different countries. This band has become the God of my life so many times. It consumes me. It distracts me. You know, Jesus says, I give you a new commandment. Focus on the Lord with our heart, mind, soul, and strength. And go and love and serve other people as you want to be loved and served. He never said, start a church to do that, or start a band to do that, or start a business to do that. That's the basic roots of freedom. And how many of us ever, including myself, focus on the Lord with our heart, mind, and soul and strength? Forget even the second half of that. You know, we find freedom through recovery. We find freedom through the Lord, or however that we find freedom. And when we're free, it feels so great. It's like the monkey's finally off our back. Then all of a sudden, things start to creep in all over again. And we become the same person we were before. The challenge is always getting back to our roots. Where did we find freedom in the first place? How did we get back to the moment that we first started? Even years after years after years, we forget our roots. Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. Who are we? What's our identity on this planet? It goes beyond addiction. Everybody knew me as a drug addict. That was my identity. Oh yeah, that's that dude that you go get drugs from him. Same thing with this band. Everybody knows me from this band. I don't want this to be my identity. I want this to be something that I'm excellent at. But I want my identity to be love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. That's a Christ-like identity. That's fruits of the Spirit. I want every conversation that I have with somebody to be this. And sometimes because this becomes the God of my life, I get angry, I get frustrated, I get hateful, I get lonely on the road, I'm desperate, I get confused, I struggle, I'm lost. It's because I need to get back to my roots of true freedom. I want this show, in fact, I want every time we perform to be an opportunity for someone to have a clean slate and a fresh start and a new beginning, even though we might already be in a new beginning. That's the challenge for us on a daily basis. We get to where we think about the future so much that we forget about where we're at the moment and who's around us. Who are we challenging? Who are we inspiring? Who are we encouraging? Who are we helping find forgiveness and freedom? Who are we building into? Muhammad Ali just passed away. And one of the greatest boxers of all time, right? I mean, he said it. The greatest of all time. Man. And if you looked on Facebook, if you looked on anything, he wasn't remembered for boxing. Boxing was what he was good at. He used the platform to fight civil rights. He used the platform to help people come out of the ghetto and dream big again. He used his platform to challenge people's thinking, to inspire people to dream big, to encourage people to go further. That's his legacy. His legacy will always be this. Of course, he'll have his footprint in history of boxing, but his legacy will be remembered for generations. And that's all of us. Sometimes when we're in recovery, we feel like we lose our value. We feel like we're worthless. I'm in recovery, man. I'm just an old drug addict, just trying to stay clean. But we forget that everything we're going through, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically, is a story for someone else. It's our journey, but all those things become a tool on our tool belt to help other people realize they're not alone on the planet. And what's even more interesting, even doing this show, we just got back from Brazil and Chile earlier this year. We don't even speak the language, but they see themselves in the film. And they'll come up with a translator and say, that's me, that's me, that's me. I'm like, dude, that's all of us. That's every person on the planet that's willing to admit it. May not be drugs, it may not be porn, might be your attitude, might be how you treat people, might be the words that you say. What are we going to be remembered by? What is our legacy on this planet? And how are we going to help the younger generation realize they're not alone? This is how we water the roots. And it starts in a place just like this. Yeah, man, it's awesome to have fun. It's awesome to get down. I get it. We did the Hope Center in Lexington, and there was 500 people there. Everybody was an addict of something. It was crazy. And you know, if you're in a recovery center, you want to go to a concert and get away from everything. So everybody was moshing, and there wasn't even any music happening. They were still moshing. It was awesome. It's the kind of concert that you dream about every night. Like, man, you can feel the energy. You can feel the fuel. But greater than that, you can feel the spirit of, man, we can throw everything off of our shoulders and stand up straight again. We can be tall. And you see these guys moshing, and someone falls down, and they're picking them back up. That's where we need to be, even in recovery. Some of us are veterans of recovery, even myself. How are we picking up the fallen soldiers? Where do we stand? So we have one more song. Think about this. What is the mask that consumes you? What is the mask that distracts you from focus, clarity, from honesty, from integrity, from transparency, from maturity, from character, wisdom, how we're growing? Maybe your addiction is, you recovered from it, but we're always adding new masks to what we are and who we are. What is it that's consuming us from becoming the change that we want to see on the planet? Because maybe you're passionate about something Might not be a crazy music show, but you're probably great at something that you're passionate about, that has purpose, that you can use as a platform to challenge the people around you and inspire the people around you and encourage the people around you to dream big even though you're struggling, to help someone find forgiveness and freedom in a world that just breeds hate and anger. Our last song is called Light Up the Dead. What is the monster that hides in your heart? God pardons any and all mistakes. In fact, when there's nothing left but God, when we're in our deepest, darkest hole and there's nothing left in our life to hold on to, no one gives a crap about us anymore. Where is God? And there's nothing left. Jesus is all we need. Light up the dead. Think about the mask that consumes you.
So far, he's been kept in total darkness, waiting for the light. The brain of a dead man, waiting to live. He's alive, I tell you. He's alive.
You ready to jam one more time? Black and white, the rope is tight, a constant fight brought the blind to sight. My motivation's dead, my shoes full of lead, and all I see is red. God, please, light up the dead! Light up the dead! Light up the dead! Light up the dead! Get it? Never felt such pain. I'm legally insane. How do I keep maintain from these voices in my brain? The tire's going flat. I'm never looking back. Fix this heart attack. God, please, light up the dead. Light up the dead. Light up the dead! Light up the dead! Come on. All I want to find no pain. That's what drives a man insane. Round and up and down, then it comes right back again. That's what drives a man insane. Round and up and down, then it comes right back again. Run that race so fast and pace. If I fall, then I'll make chase. That's where I might find my grace. Run that race so fast and pace. If I fall, then I'll make chase. That's where I might find my grace. Winner of the duel. I got my heart strings pulled. Emptiness, the fool. And we became the tool. Courage never cease. Pain becomes my peace. And God killed that beast. God, please light up the dead. Light up the dead. Light up the dead. Light up the dead. The dead. The dead. Thank you guys very much for coming. It's not every day we get to do this in a church. Invite Rocky to come up. And now look. The mask comes back on.
Yeah, man. Did you guys see it in the last video? When they take the mask off, it was always you killing you. Like it says in Romans, I keep doing what I don't want to do. I don't do the good that I say I want to do. My intentions, as good as they are, don't result in action.
Hey, not everybody gets that, so
Yeah.
thank you for...
Yeah. So you guys got to remember, every morning when you get up, you make a decision to walk by the flesh, and that pig can be killing you, or you walk by the Spirit of God, and you'll walk in love, joy, peace, long-suffering, goodness, gentleness, faith, meek, temperance, which is self-control. You guys get it? Did you have a good time? Give it up one more time for White Collar Sideshow. They do have some merchandise back there if you guys want to stop at the table. If you want to pray with Veronica, one of you ladies, or TD, they love praying. They'll get down with you, okay? You guys have a great night. See you next Monday.